questions stay surrounding the shocking torture death of a Long Island child.
3 women were arrested this week, charged with sadistic abuse that led to the 7-year-old's death. Jor'dynn Duncan had been placed in their home by a court. And today, Carolyn Gussoff asked Suffolk County lawmakers how that could have happened.
It's a picture-perfect suburban Cape, but prosecutors describe a house of horrors inside where they say 7-year-old Jor'dynn Duncan was tied up in a bathtub and routinely tortured. 3 generations in one family were charged in her death Wednesday in what prosecutors called wicked and evil torture.
The cutest little thing that you want to see in your life. Never saw any marks on her face.
Neighbors are horrified to learn the details of her December death after Emily Kelly called 911. An autopsy documented 90 injuries, including whip marks and internal stab wounds that caused a fatal infection. Prosecutors say the child missed 40 days of school, and in each case, Kelly provided an excuse, a family trip, or a death or illness. Prosecutors say not only did Kelly subject this child to horrific abuse and torture, but appallingly, she documented it with videos and casual text messages between her and her daughter. You can't hit her face, you gotta hit her body if you're gonna hit her. That's another thing we've gotta hide.
Shocked about that people could act so savagely.
Suffolk County Executive Ed Romaine says the county's Child Protective Services involvement in the case was minimal.
It's not a failure of CPS, and the child's placement was done by a judge. We will act on any information that comes out that suggests to us that improvements can be made.
The child was placed by court order with Kelly, her incarcerated father's fiance. Kelly's mother and
she was tied down in a bathtub and routinely tortured. She suffers 90 injuries, including whip marks, internal stab wounds. This is the case of Jor'dynn Duncan, a 7-year-old girl who was placed in the care of Emily Kelly. 3 generations of women from Bayport, New York, has been indicted for the alleged torture and murder of a 7-year-old Jor'dynn Duncan. Prosecutor says that the child has over 90 injuries on her body in the last 48 hours of her life, including signs of whipping. Her legal guardian, Emily Kelly, was the fiance of the girl's father, who is now currently in prison. Now, the child has been absent from school for 40 days with excuse giving every time. Okay. Now, given before she was found unresponsive, the grandmother, Barbara Renner, allegedly sang in the background during the video showing the little girl struggling for her life. This whole case started back in December 2024. Somewhere along the way, her biological parents had lost custody of this child. So I guess they couldn't find any other family member to take this young girl, and they had to place her with this white lady that ended up abusing her to where now she lost her life. Now, she was removed from her home by the court, and Emily begged the court, all right, to take custody of this child. So Emily, who is the fiance of her biological father, who is now currently in prison, right, requested for the court for her to take custody of this child. So by January 2025, she was already abusing Jor'dynn. That's 30 days later. And just a year later, after she took custody of Jor'dynn Duncan, she unalived that little girl. Just a year later. Okay, let's go down the list of what her injuries included. Now, the abuse includes prolonged physical restraint, repeated physical injuries, and deliberately withholding medical care from this baby girl so her wound will go untreated. And the entire time this abuse was happening, Emily had photos, videos of the abuse, and she saved everything on her cloud account, and she even documented everything strategically. She planned everything out so she knows they knew what they were doing, so they did it on purpose. Let's continue. On December 9th of 2025, Emily Kelly called 911 for the child who was in cardiac arrest. They rushed Jor'dynn to the hospital. She was pronounced dead. The medical examiner did an autopsy. They found 90 sharp object stab wound in this little angel. She didn't die from the stab wound. She died from the infection that was left untreated. Emily is indicted for second-degree murder, and her mother, Barbara Renner, for manslaughter, and her daughter, Elisa Seymour, for unlawful imprisonment. And all 3 has been charged.
Shocking torture death of a Long Island child.
3 women were arrested this week, charged with sadistic abuse that led to the 7-year-old's death. Jor'dynn Duncan had been placed in their home by a court. And today, Carolyn Gussoff asked Suffolk County lawmakers how that could have happened.
It's a picture-perfect suburban Cape, but prosecutors describe a house of horrors inside where they say 7-year-old Jor'dynn Duncan was tied up in a bathtub and routinely tortured. 3 generations in one family were charged in her death Wednesday in what prosecutors called wicked and evil torture.
The cutest little thing that you want to see in your life. Never saw any marks on her face.
Neighbors are horrified to learn the details of her December death after Emily Kelly called 911. An autopsy documented 90 injuries, including whip marks and internal stab wounds that caused a fatal infection. Prosecutors say the child missed 40 days of school, and in each case, Kelly provided an excuse, a family trip, or a death or illness. Prosecutors say not only did Kelly subject this child to horrific abuse and torture, but appallingly, she documented it with videos and casual text messages between her and her daughter. You can't hit her face, you got to hit her body if you're going to hit her. That's another thing we've got to hide.
Shocked about that people could act so savagely.
Suffolk County Executive Ed Romaine says the county's Child Protective Services involvement in the case was minimal.
It's not a failure of CPS, and the child's placement was done by a judge. We will act on any information that comes out that suggests to us that improvements can be made.
The child was placed by court order with Kelly, her incarcerated father's fiancé. Kelly's mother and daughter were also charged. Suffolk lawmakers are calling for a full review.
How was this child placed in the hands of somebody who could be this unfit and this abusive? How could school, not see her for 40 days over the course of a year and not ask questions?
Schools are expected to contact CPS when there's repeated unexplained absences combined with warning signs.
The personnel at the school are mandated reporters.
We have no comment at the moment.
Jordan's biological relatives declined comment. Small memorials flank the front steps, which neighbors say was part of a major house renovation since the child died. All 3 women have entered not guilty pleas.
Trigger warning, this story I'm about to tell is about the abuse of a minor. She missed 40 days of school, no welfare check. On May 19th, 2026, 3 women, 3 generations were indicted in the connection and torture and murder of 7-year-old Jor'dynn Duncan. Emily Kelly, 50 years old, the legal guardian. Jordan's dad is currently incarcerated. Emily's mother, Barbara, the one in the middle, 75 years old. She's facing manslaughter charges in the 2nd degree. Emily's daughter, Elsa, 24-year-old, she's facing unlawful imprisonment in the 1st degree. All women have pleaded not guilty. This story takes place in Bageport, Long Island. See, all 3 of these monsters tortured little Jor'dynn, and they also filmed it, allegedly. And they also talked about it and laughed about it in the family group chat. Jor'dynn passed away in December of 2025 from an untreated infection. She had over 90 injuries over her body, including whip marks, internal injuries. These 3 monsters deserve the death penalty. Little Jor'dynn Duncan deserves justice. Also, I hope they look into the school, into the social workers, into the counselors, the nurses, everybody, all the adults that was in little Jor'dynn's life, because there's no way that y'all didn't see over 90 bruises on little Jor'dynn's body, and nobody came forward and reported anything. And she missed over 40 days of school, and nobody did nothing to help this poor little girl. So I'm hoping they open this case up and they really dig deep, because it goes further than what happened inside that house. Because she did go to school and y'all didn't see anything. This story just breaks my heart. Like I said, I hope they get the death penalty.
December 2024, 7-year-old Jor'dynn Duncan was in Suffolk County Child Protective Custody. The Children's Court placed Jor'dynn with her father's fiancée, Emily Kelly, a woman she is not related to. By April 2025, Emily had full custody of Jor'dynn. So Jor'dynn missed 40 days of school between January and June of 2025. She made up excuses like going on a Disney trip, or we're out of town, or she just didn't go to school today, to cover up the abuse. It just wasn't regular abuse. It was torture, systematic cruelty, and sadistic abuse that this little girl had to go through. Okay. By December, gosh, December 29th at 10:30 a.m., Emily called the police because Jor'dynn was going, she was having a heart attack. So they rushed Emily to the hospital. And gosh, that's where she died. She died in the hospital. So they rushed Emily. I mean, not Emily. They rushed Jor'dynn to, do the autopsy because this is, very odd. So the medical examiner, let's see what he said. They found massive untreated infection caused by sharp force injuries. She had 90 lacerations, bruises, whatever, all over her body. I didn't see anything where they said that she was tied in the bathtub. Um, I read some, I read like 5 articles and I didn't see that. So, um, they decided to do an investigation because of all the internal injuries that Jor'dynn had. So the investigators recovered extensive photographic and video evidence from Emily's phone and cloud-based accounts documenting prolonged restraint, physical injuries, and lack of medical care dating back to January 2025. Okay, they did not care. They were planning this. They were planning to kill this little girl. For what? I don't know. I don't know why the father would want the state to place his daughter with this sadistic, nasty, cunt fuck bitch. Okay, excuse my language, but I'm just, it's, it just, this little sack of they need to put this sack of shit under 6 feet under the jail. Okay, when she's in there, they need to do to her what she did to Jor'dynn. Okay, she cannot get away with this at all. Nasty bitch. Now, the thing is, the mother and the daughter is tied into it. right? So, first generation woman is Barbara Renner, okay? She was charged with manslaughter, one count of manslaughter. Oh, yeah, she was charged with one count of manslaughter and endangering the welfare of a child, right? So now we have Emily. She's the second generation, okay? Emily Kelly. She got one count of second degree murder, reckless endangerment, and unlawful imprisonment, and 3 counts of endangering the welfare of a child. Now, the third generation, Alyssa Steinmeier, she got one count of endangerment and welfare of a child and unlawful imprisonment. So they all pled not guilty. Okay, so Barbara's attorney said, okay, she's 75. Okay, so I forgot to say the ages. So Emily Kelly is 50. Barbara Renner is 75. And Alyssa Steinmeier is 24. Okay, so the attorney was saying that Brittany is 75 years old. She was not the caregiver of this little girl, so she could not cause her death. She has dementia. They're going to try to get her out of this. Okay, and then their bonds was all set. So this witch, Emily, her bond was set to 5 million cash or 10 million bond. Barbara Renner, her bail was set to $50,000 cash or $500,000 bond or $500,000 partially secured bond. Alyssa's bond was set to 25,000 cash, 250,000 bond or $250,000 partially secured bonds. So I never heard of this case. This case happened last year, back in 2025, and now it's just coming to light. This is sad. Very, very sad. So put your comments down below. And I want to know, do you guys want this murderous bitch get the death penalty, or do you think she should go free? Leave your comments down below. But hell, what do I know? I'm just a talking head.
3 generations of one family arrested in connection with the death of a 7-year-old girl on Long Island. Prosecutors allege that 7-year-old Jor'dynn Duncan was abused and tortured for nearly a year. 50-year-old Emily Kelly of Bayport has been indicted for murder in the second degree and other charges. Prosecutors say that she is the fiancée of Jor'dynn's father. This is Kelly's mom, Barbara Renner. She's indicted for manslaughter in the second degree and other charges. This is Kelly's daughter, 24-year-old Elisa Seymour. She's indicted for unlawful imprisonment and the first degree and other charges. Suffolk County prosecutors say they recovered cell phone videos, pictures, and text messages documenting what they describe as sadistic and systematic abuse. In December of 2024, Suffolk County CPS placed Jordan with Kelly at Kelly's request. April of 2025, Kelly gained full custody of Jordan. According to court paperwork, that is when, quote, the abuse and torture really started to unfold. Jordan missed approximately 40 days of school before she died on December 29th, 2025, 1 year after her placement with this family. The attorney for Renner denies any wrongdoing and states that she suffers from dementia. Seymour's attorney says that she does not have a criminal history and had nothing to do with Jordan's death. The state sets child welfare policy, but the county administers it. We emailed Suffolk County asking who checked on Jordan and how often. They did not get back to us. We asked New York State the same questions. The Office of Children and Family Services provides oversight of the child welfare system. They said they're looking into it and will get back to us. We will keep working to get you answers about what happened in Jordan's case. Drop your questions below, and thank you so much for watching.
New York, this child was unalived by her boyfriend's fiance. The abuse was so bad. Not only did she get arrested, but the 24-year-old daughter and the 75-year-old mother that lives in the house got arrested for just witnessing the abuse. They're saying the young child had 90 poke wounds from the abuse. This all happened in Bellport, Long Island. I don't understand how she got full custody of the child, and there's no mention of the father or the mother, but they abused her to her tiny little body couldn't handle it no more. Like she suffered cardiac arrest. She had full custody and full guardianship as the kid missed 40 days of school, saying the kid was sick, there was an unaliving in the family, or they took a trip to Disney World. When Suffolk County Police investigated, she had untreated inflammation from short force injury dating back to January with 90 poke wounds on her body. She was charged with the M. I did see a GoFund for the child's burial, but no idea why the mother and the father didn't have her in the custody.
A Suffolk County grand jury in New York has indicted 3 members of the same family in connection with the death of 7-year-old Jordan Duncan, a case prosecutors say involved months of alleged torture, abuse, and neglect. According to the Suffolk County District Attorney's Office, 50-year-old Emily Kelly of Bayport was indicted on charges including murder in the second degree, reckless endangerment, unlawful imprisonment, and multiple counts of endangering the welfare of a child. Kelly's mother, Barbara, who is 75, was indicted on charges of manslaughter in the second degree and endangering the welfare of a child. Kelly's daughter as well was arrested, Alyssa Seymour, who's 24, and she faces charges of unlawful imprisonment in the first degree and additional child welfare offenses. District Attorney Raymond Tierney described the allegations as, quote, months of systemic cruelty and sadistic abuse. He said, quote, today my office is announcing the indictment against 3 co-defendants after a lengthy grand jury investigation into the alleged prolonged torture, abuse, and the brutal murder of a defenseless innocent child who was placed in their care. Authorities say that the investigation began on December 29, 2025, just a few days after Christmas, when Kelly called 911 at approximately 10:30 in the morning, reporting that Jordan was in cardiac arrest. The child was transported to NYU Langone Hospital, Suffolk, where she later was pronounced dead. An autopsy conducted by the medical examiner's office determined that Jordan died from a massive, untreated infection caused by sharp force injuries to her body. Investigators reportedly documented 90 injuries across her body. So essentially, she was being stabbed. The findings led to a homicide investigation by the Suffolk County Police Department's homicide squad. Prosecutors found out that Jordan had been placed in Kelly's care by Suffolk County Child Protective Services back in December of 2024 after Kelly requested custody. By April of 2025, Kelly had allegedly obtained full guardianship of the child. Investigators claim that they recovered extensive photo and video evidence from Kelly's phone and cloud storage, allegedly documented repeated abuse, physical injuries, restraint, and a lack of medical care beginning in January of 2025, so about 12 months before she died. Authorities also allege the child missed approximately 40 days of school between January and June. Prosecutors say that false explanations were allegedly provided for the absences, including illnesses, deaths in the family, and a supposed trip to Disney World in an effort to conceal the abuse. All 3 defendants were ultimately arraigned on May 20th, 2026 before Judge John B. Collins. Kelly is currently being held on a $5 million cash bail or $10 million bond and faces 25 years to life in prison if she's convicted on the top charge alone. Renner is being held on a $50,000 cash bail or $500,000 bond and faces up to 15 years in prison. Seymour is being held on a $25,000 cash bail bail or a $250,000 bond and faces up to 4 years in prison if she's convicted. The case right now is being prosecuted by the Assistant DA, Dina Rizopoulos, and Melissa Greer. Detectives James Hughes and Jack Ward of the Suffolk County Police Department's Homicide Squad led the investigation and says that they are confident that these individuals are going to get the maximum sentence they can get after they are convicted. They said that the evidence against them is overwhelming, and they say that what they did was brutal, inhumane, and completely unacceptable.